Welcome to Powering Through Life on the Deepest Debt Care Network. I'm your host, Teresa Sims, and I'm a transformational life coach, an award-winning author, and a multiple #1 best-selling co-author. Each week on Powering Through Life, my guests and I will discuss a special topic that is close to their heart. Together we will explore the challenges they have faced in life and learn what strategies and tools they have used to power through their lives. So welcome to Powering Through Life.
Today I have a wonderful guest with me. Her name is Carol Trickett of Trickett Financial Advisory. And Carol owns Trickett Financial. We've got it straight now, Carol. Carol believes every Canadian has the right to be financially independent, providing the opportunity to feel secure and be generous to others. Although Carol works with clients from a broad walk of life, as an independent insurance broker, certified executive advisor, and registered retirement consultant, Carol finds much joy in serving newcomers to Canada, family with illnesses and disability, and women who are independent business owners, as she understands the impact of uncertain financial future firsthand. So Carol, first of all, welcome to Powering Through Life.
Thank you, Teresa. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Oh, I'm so glad we got to do this. We've been planning this for a while, and when the right time pops up, you got to grab it, right?
That's right. Every opportunity.
Exactly. So I know I've read your bio, but there's more to your story, Carol. And would you please tell the listeners what happened in 2008 to set you on this path to where you are right now?
Okay, well, it's been a bit of a journey, for sure. In 2008, the big thing that happened was my husband was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And it had been in his family. His mother, his aunt, his brother all have passed from Alzheimer's. So it wasn't a complete shock to either of us, but when you sit with the doctor and you hear that diagnosis, it is life-changing for sure.
Absolutely. So what happened after the diagnosis? Because there's always a process that goes along with this, but please explain that.
Well, it was a long process. Bob lived with Alzheimer's for 10 years. About 5.5 years he was able to remain at home, and then he had to go to a nursing home because I could no longer care for him. I'm not a nurse and really don't want to be a nurse. It's one of the highest respected professions, in my opinion, nursing and PSWs. I have every respect for them, for sure, but it was a long process. So, when you first hear that diagnosis, you have to come to grips with what your role is going to be. And for me, it was devastating to hear. And I remember one night having a battle out with God, and basically coming to the realization that His grace would be sufficient, that each day if I committed to do what I could to support my husband, I would be given the strength to do what I needed to do. And so that was my commitment. Bob and I had been married for a long time. Altogether, we were married 26 years. And so I guess, we were about year 18 into this marriage when he was diagnosed. So I took my vows seriously, and, in sickness or in health. So, anyway, each day I just tried my best to help him live his best at whatever level capacity he was at. And, it was not an easy journey, but I'm thankful that I was able to go on this journey with him because, he needed the support, and my husband was a wonderful man, very caring and kind and humorous and just a joy to be around. And so, it was my pleasure to do this at the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like it was a beautiful gift that you were given, and also that you were that you gave to him as well, because he needed you. He it's not his fault. It's the bigger picture. It's the plan that was put in place for him on this earth. And I can understand you having the battle with God, because sometimes you just need to question why, and you can't always just follow blindly. But when you receive that information and you finally have an understanding of what your purpose is and what the plan is, it makes it so much easier to carry things out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Committing and realizing what your role is at this time in life, right? Life is full of many chapters, and this was just one for us.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you learned a great deal by having that experience, by going through that journey. So tell us what happened in 2013, then, if we can jump forward to that.
Okay, so in 2013, it was partway into our journey together. So I had been in the stained glass business. I had a stained glass business for 10 years. And 4 years, I guess, into Bob's journey, I realized that the career that I had chosen and that I loved was not going to be sufficient to support me financially. It was profitable, but it was not going to be profitable enough, because when Bob was to go to a nursing home, his pension income would go to support him. And so I was going to have to be independent financially on my own. So I made the decision, working with Lori Hawkins as a business coach at the time. She took me through the transition, and I chose financial services as the field to enter because it was a field where I could really make a difference for people. I could have flexibility to spend time with Bob when I needed to, and it would build a future for me. Residual income, and as I built the business, it would do what I needed, and other reasons too, but those are the basic ones. So 2013, I studied for my mutual fund license while Bob was still home. He was placed in long-term care that year, and then I think a month after he went into long-term care, I wrote my life license. No wasting time. I had to get on it. So, that was the big transition that year.
Right.
Lots of transitions in my life.
For sure. I mean, you're not only being faced with illness and long-term care and then the financial burdens and stresses that creates, but, you had to find the next step, the next road for you, because you needed that financial independence. Because I understand, like I looked after my grandmother for the last 10 years of her life, and then she went into long-term care as well. I know how expensive that is. It's not cheap. And, we don't always have the option of saying, no, you're going to stay home with me, because, like you say, we're not nurses, we're not PSWs. Those people really should be commended for the jobs they do, because I couldn't do it either. So so that's fantastic. Like, so what was the next step in your journey that led you to your focus? And so you wrote your exam. What was the next phase? So I started my career with a company that I felt would give me some mentorship and some guidance, because this was totally new to me. I had no finance background. And then after 3 years, I went independent. So in 2016, in December, I
became an independent advisor, which means I can go to any company for my clients, which I really love because I represent my clients, not any particular company. I really care about them. So, if you can imagine, thinking back about this, I still wonder how it all happened, but I know it was that supernatural strength that got me through this. But every day I would go visit Bob. I mean, while I'm doing all this, going through all these transitions, for 4.5 years, he was in long-term care. For the first 2-3 years, I went almost every day to spend time with him. And then in 2016, I sold our home just outside of London and moved into London, another strategic move to buy a house where I could take in international students.
Oh.
And so that was another big move. And during all this time, early in Bob's diagnosis, I made a conscious decision that I was not going to go into that dark cave. I went to some counseling sessions with the Alzheimer's Society, and I heard the stories. Mostly elderly people get this disease. Some younger do, but mostly the caregivers are elderly, and they're overwhelmed, and they lose hope, many of them. And I heard this in their stories. And so after the first support group, I decided this is not for me, these support groups. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make sure that I keep my friends, keep on the outside of the cave. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to stay in the light. I'm going to keep all the positive influences I can. I'm going to keep Bob as involved as I can. And, we're going to need your support on this journey. So that was one decision I made. And then another one was to live life in the present, right? And so many caregivers have no choice, right? They look after their loved one, and they're limited as to what they can do beyond that.
Right.
So because of my age, I did have the advantage that I have the ability to keep going and do different things. And so I did proceed with my career because I felt the best way to help Bob was to be able to help myself and keep myself active and engaged as well.
Absolutely. That's so key. I mean, you can experience caregiver burnout very, very easily. Mm-hmm. And then you're no good to your person that you're looking after or yourself. It's just, it becomes a vicious spiral, and you do end up in that dark cave. But good for you for recognizing what you did and doing the steps that you did, because that kept you into a bright place and in a brighter future. Because I'm sure he wouldn't want you to be in that dark cave either. That's probably, I'm sure that's not his intent at all. And, he wanted the best for you as well. And you're the only one that was capable of doing that, right?
I'm sure he would have wanted the best for me because, if this had been me with the disease, I'm sure he would have looked after me in the same way. But, we tried to keep that spark that we have in life going. When I go to see him, he would light up, and people always commented on his smile, and he did have a beautiful, warm smile. And, they would often set people who were unhappy beside him at the nursing home because he was so peaceful, and he did bring that to others. So,
that's beautiful. So even in that stage of life, he was still able to bring a beautiful gift to someone else, which is, speaks volumes.
We all have a purpose, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you take in international students. How does that help you with your transition from, having your husband and then in long-term care and then his passing eventually? How did the students bring?
Well, There's been a few ways. So the first way was meant to be financial, which it has been a financial help. I mean, they pay room and board. So that's why I did it. But it has become so much more than that. The students really have been a blessing to me. So it's been 3.5 years now that I've done this. I moved into my home June, I think it was around the 20th, and July 1st I had 3 students living with me.
Oh, my.
Waste no time.
Yeah.
But, they've been so wonderful. I've had over 30 students from 13 different countries, and everyone has their own gifts and talents. And some have been with me a short time, some have been with me a longer time. And they've encouraged me. When Bob passed away in August of 2018, I had students living with me, and I chose to keep them with me during that time. I could have taken a few months or whatever without students, but the students who were with me had been with me a while, and, many of them had not experienced grieving and death before. And for them, it was a learning experience, and it really, it was a gift to me. I would come home. Bob was palliative for 3 weeks. My brothers and I stayed with him night and day for 3 weeks. And, when I would come home late in the evening, often they would have dinner for me. 2 of them went to the graveside service for Bob. So, we really did enjoy life together, the students and I. And they have just been such a huge blessing in my life. I'm really grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a nice addition to a family, that they became your family, and the fact that they were with you, that proves that they cared for you, you cared for them. And I imagine it helped greatly to come home to someone and to have that support from them, whether they knew they were supporting you or not. It's and being from different cultures too, they probably learned a great deal from you, as you have from them.
Yeah. Well, I do call them my international family, and I do warn them that someday I'm coming to visit them all.
That's going to be a long trip.
Yeah, you bet. I got to save up.
So I know that you like to do financial work for newcomers to Canada. Is it because of the international students that you've can I say fostered in your home? Is that the reason why that you chose international?
You know what? It is. You've hit the nail on the head. So last year, after Bob had passed, the end of last part of 2018, and then I went through some other transitions in 2018, a succession plan that did not work out, which we won't go into further, but 2019 I started with, kind of a heavy heart, and really feeling that once again I was starting over in many ways. So I remember one day I was sitting right here in my office and thinking about, where do I go from here? And I really love what I do. I think it's fantastic that, I help with finance, which affects every area of a person's life. So the ability to make such a meaningful difference for people is something that I really cherish. But I thought about the students, and I thought, my marriage to Bob was awesome. I have no regrets, but the relationship that I have with the students now really brings a spark to my life. They're full of such enthusiasm and hope and potential, and we do a lot of things together as a family, and it really is a spark in my life. And I thought, I enjoy my business, but how can I get that same spark in my business?
Right.
And the light bulb came on, right, so to speak. And it was a brilliant moment, I must say. I thought, okay, well, some of the students who have stayed with me actually have stayed in Canada. One student returned to Brazil, got married to her fiancé, and they moved to Canada.
Nice.
And Tiziana, who goes by TC, is Brazilian, and she just had a baby 2 months ago. And Martin and TC are doing well. And I actually hired TC. She's on my team now as of June. And so it was kind of all around that same time that I made this decision to focus on newcomers to Canada. From TC and Kaio and others who have this desire to stay in Canada, I've learned a few things. I've learned that when someone wants to choose a new country, the only thing that really matters to them is, first of all, getting their permanent residency status.
Right.
And then, of course, their citizenship. But, everything else, their focus is on that PR, permanent residency. And there are steps that they need to do to put that in place. And so as a financial advisor, I can help them. There's different things that I can help them with. And so if you can imagine moving to a different country and everything is so different. The currency's different. I mean, the currency looks much different, right? We have every color of the rainbow in our currency. And then the customs are different, right from tipping a waitress to retirement. Everything's different.
Absolutely.
So it's really been exciting the last 6 to 8 months that I've been focusing on newcomers. Yes, I have a good base of Canadian citizens as clients from every walk of life, but I want to be able to create that same financial security for newcomers. Mm-hmm. That's what they want. They want to become Canadians. They want to feel like a Canadian, look like a Canadian, sound like a Canadian. My students are always asking me, so Carol, do I sound like a Canadian yet? That's what they want. So it's a great privilege to be able to walk side by side with people who have chosen Canada. I'm so proud of my country. I'm proud to be a Canadian, and to be able to help others to make this transition is it's really great.
Oh, I can imagine. And then finding something that just lights your light bulb and lights your world is just amazing on top of that. It's like the icing on the cake, being able to really, yes, you have your base of clients, which are kind of like, I don't know, we're going to use the cake analogy, the cake itself. But then looking for those that are wanting to come to Canada is typically the icing on the cake, and you get to enjoy both aspects so well. And,
yes.
And you should be, honestly, so proud of what you're doing, Carol. It's fantastic. I know I've seen pictures of you and your students, and they all look so happy, as do you. So I know they're keeping you young, they're keeping you excited, they're keeping you going, and probably never a dull moment either.
No, that's for sure. There's always something going on, and it is a lot of fun. We do, hockey games together and grocery shopping together and all kinds of fun things.
Excellent.
But,
excellent.
Doing those first things is really good, like buying their first Christmas tree or carving their first jack-o'-lanterns. That's a riot.
Oh, yeah. Why are we doing this? learning all the traditions of a new country is exciting. And, it can be a little overwhelming at the same time. So, Carol, what 3 things would you tell our listeners, to someone who is entering a similar journey to what you went through? What are 3 tips that you would give to that person to help them through their journey?
Well, the 3 tips, just in review of what we talked about, I would say are, first of all, accept the task, right? There are people who have chosen to walk away from being a caregiver. That was not an option for me. I would never have chosen to walk away. But first of all, own the task. Commit to what you're going to do. Secondly is, stay outside the cave. Keep in the light. Keep positive. Keep the influences and the supports that you're going to need. And then thirdly, live life in the present. When you think about the past, the future, and the present, the past and the future are really just thoughts. Life is in the present. So, sometimes it's easy as a caregiver to, think about the memories, grieve for what was in the past. Alzheimer's is a 10-year grieving process. And then, when grief typically starts, we start all over again. But I would say, live life in the present. Don't worry about the future. I mean, yes, in my case, I definitely had to plan for the future. And they say don't make important life decisions for like a year after you lose someone. Well, sometimes you don't have a choice, right? Sometimes you have to just focus and do what you have to do.
You need a plan. I think you need a good solid plan. Yeah.
And if you can't do it on your own, get someone to help you.
Absolutely.
Pull in a friend for sure.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and thank you for those 3 tips, because that's absolutely what I was thinking as well. It's a perfect way to focus and stay focused on yourself and your future. And Carol, do you have a favorite saying or quote that you like that you would share?
Yeah, I do actually. This quote has been with me for many years. It's by Jim Elliot. It says, "He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose." And Jim Elliot was a missionary to the Auca Indians, and in taking the story of salvation to them, he lost his life to them. But he knew that risk. They were, not, they were, how do I say this? They were not civilized, right? They ate people.
Yep.
So he knew the risk, but he was willing to do that. And, life is eternal. And, if we give of ourselves and we sacrifice what we have, we're no fool for that. And that's why that means so much to me.
I love that. That is just absolutely perfect. And what great food for thought. Pardon the pun on that one.
Yeah. yeah.
Well, Carol, I really want to say thank you to you for coming on Powering Through Life and sharing your story. I've known you for a couple of years now, but now I really can appreciate you even more, because I think you're a hero, you're a champion, and what you're doing in this life should be brought to light, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. So thank you again.
Thank you, Teresa. I don't think of myself as a hero, but if what I've lived through and experienced can be a help to others, I'm here to help other people with the experiences that I've had. So thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. And if someone wanted to get in touch with you, Carol, how could they do that?
Well, I am on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. My website is trickettfinancial.com. My email is carol@trickettfinancial.ca.
Perfect. And as I post the episode, we will have all your contact information on there. And anyone that wants to get in touch with you, please do, because Carol is just a wealth of knowledge, and she, as you can hear, she's easy to talk with. So please get in touch with Carol today. So Carol, thanks again for being on Powering Through Life.
Thank you, Teresa. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks again for listening to Powering Through Life.
Well, Divas, that brings to a close another great, inspiring interview on Powering Through Life. Thank you to my incredible guest for sharing your story with us. Divas, if you would like to connect with my guests, just go to divasthatcare.com, click on my picture at the top, that's Teresa Sims, and there you can access all of my interviews. Don't be shy, reach out if you have any questions, or simply just leave us a comment. Also, you can contact me at my website, that's teresasims.com. Thank you for listening to Powering Through Life on the Divas That Care Network.